All right. So, my last post was about how powerful you are, how we have this invisible power within us. Sometimes we can't see it, but we know it exists because it flows through our feelings. All right. The first thing that made me aware to this power within me is that I knew it came from God. I knew it came with no strings. And after I had meditated for some time, that's the first thing that resonated with me, that this was a gift and there were no strings on it. That all the things that I had been taught, and I'm not telling you to change your pattern of religion or whatnot, that's up to you. But the things that I was taught was that we were all born sinners. We all had something to correct with God. And the first thing that my inner spirit resonated with me was I was born out of a first creation, the original creation. God created me so that he could move through this vessel, and it was perfect and right for him or her or them. Right? I didn't have anything to prove. I just had to one day become aware of who I am. So we are all part of the original consciousness. We are part of God's consciousness. That's how I knew that I knew that I knew that I was called to service. Because it felt good inside of me to feel like I truly connected with that which was called God, that humans called God, and all the attributes that humans put on this consciousness that were human. So I learned that I wasn't broken, that I didn't need to fix myself to utilize God's gifts. And I just want to share that with everyone. Doesn't mean you have to stop going to church or stop believing in your faith. It just means that you have to get in touch with you, because you're the one that gets carried around every day to everywhere that you go. You are infused in your life. I was infused in my life. And the things that weren't going right along my path, while I was unconscious to it, I was getting more of that which I was resisting, that which I was complaining about, I was getting more of. And the more and more that I became conscious of who I am and what God has called me to, so to speak, I became happier. And I wanted to share that. The first thing is, know that you know that you know that you're not broken. You might feel that way because you've had that thought for a long time. And it's no slight on mankind or humankind, because this is a continuing pattern, is that we want to create God in our image so that we understand God. Instead of going deep within and listening to God have a conversation with us. That's your inner spirit. That's your soul. My inner spirit wanted me to share this with you so that you can take the understanding and utilize it any way you want to. You can say, oh, she's a crackpot, but I'm not going to care, because I know that I know that I know. And I just want to share it. What you do with it, that's your responsibility. Right? We all have to know that this power that was given to us, it was given of God's free will, God's love, God's consciousness. God created something that they loved so much that they wanted to walk amongst it, be amongst it. They wanted to taste it, feel it, see it, smell it. They wanted us to have choices of what we wanted most to do. And then they got to move through it. Or they are moving through it. As long as you're moving, you're having a conscious experience in a human form. I love that. That resonated so much with me. That there was this purpose to this body being here. Realizing that I wasn't this broken body that needed to go fix myself to be able to present myself to a conscious God. That I'm not broken. We're not. We see ourselves as that way. And yes, this body gets sick and sometimes the mind hurts. But if you open your arms and you don't resist what's going on with you, and you say, I am having this situation, circumstance, feeling, or bodily movement that doesn't feel good to me for a purpose. And then open yourself up so inside, within the inner you and God get to have a conversation about where you need to go to feel better, to be healthier, to be happier, to be satisfied, to be able to taste life within you and savor it. Because we are consciously aware of who we are. Consciously. We say we're unconscious sometimes, and for the most part, some of us are. But there are points in our living that we become conscious and aware of something that's greater than us. If we have the thought long enough, and we delve deep, and we have that conversation, it becomes a belief that we're good enough to continue having a conversation with our Mother, Father, God. Our thoughts and our desires are our own. They are. God doesn't usurp those. They don't put the thought in there. They may know where you're going with your thoughts, but you get to have them. Sometimes they're good for you, sometimes not. You get to figure that out, and then God gets to have a feeling of what's going through. Now, when you are having a negative feeling, know that you know that you know that you're further away from the purpose of your soul. Your soul came for a purpose. That's just how it is. Your soul is in this body for a purpose. So if you're having a negative thought, what's the opposite of that? And then go ask your soul, is that what you came to feel or be or see or do or touch or smell or become through me? Your soul doesn't judge you. Soul is part of God, part of consciousness. You are not in judgment of anything. That would mean that God is judging him, her, or themselves. That would mean that God is not satisfied with what he created, or she created, or they created. God, regardless of whether you believe it or not, is along for our journey. And not everyone is going to wake up and be conscious. So you could say, oh, I feel it, and go tell somebody else, and they just go, what? You know, have you been smoking? Have you been drinking? Do you need to go see a psychiatrist? But don't let that stop you from being who you are and doing what you're seeking. God is seeking self through us, self of everything that they've created. Consciously, they know, feeling, experiencing, exciting. Exciting to them, exciting to you, exciting to me. Just thrill at being a spirit having a human experience. A human having a spiritual experience. But you're not in judgment of anything. You should not be in judgment of anybody telling you who you are or what you should be doing just because they think that you should be doing it. If you think outside your box and you want to color outside those lines, go ahead. You hear me say that a lot. We have been told writing with our right hand is right. If you write with your left hand, that's of the devil. But you have two hands. There are people who are going to like sweet things, and there are people who are going to like sour taste. You're unique. You're individual. There are people who are going to want to wear their hair natural, and then there are people who are going to want to wear weaves and wigs, and that's just them. And they're beautiful. There are people who weigh 90 pounds and people who weigh 300 pounds, and they're none the less beautiful than the person who is a perfect size 7. You are unique. God sees you as the unique creature they created. Go be unique today. Go be satisfied in you. Have a beautiful day. Namaste.